Oh, okay. Looks like we are going. So, we are. Bah. So this is Because Liberty with Curtis Hart, and I got some new equipment in the mail. It would appear that it is the time for legal plunder, and the time to get that legal plunder back. So, we got some new equipment here at Because Liberty because they at the Crown decided that we could have some of that theft back. So I went ahead and set it up in the kitchen really quick, and I am doing a little test. So there we go. That's pretty good news. Doesn't look like anybody's watching yet. But anyways, I will be testing this out nonetheless. So, being that I was just talking about the legal plunder and the exact definition of that and where I got that term from, and when I say taxation is theft, and like, what do you mean taxation is theft? It's not like I'm just pulling that out of my behind, and I'm not pulling the term legal plunder out of my behind. It's in this book here, written by Frederick, I believe it's Bastiat or Bastide. I'm not really positive because it's French, and it was written in 1850, about 2 years after the French Revolution. Frederick Bastiat was an economist and an author and a French statesman. He was elected to the French national legislature, the national legislative branch of the French government, way back in the day, right after the French Revolution. He died of tuberculosis, so he wrote this book here about a year before he died. So I imagine he's just grumpy, hating status, coughing up a bunch of blood, hacking up a bunch of stuff, just writing a big fundamental libertarian document here is this book right here. So I'm going to go ahead and read you a little expert out of here. It's called Legal Plunder Defined. But how is this legal plunder to be identified? Quite simply, see if the law takes from some person which belongs to them and gives it to persons to whom it does not belong. It's legal plunder. So if the law benefits one citizen at the expense of another by doing what the citizen himself cannot do without committing a crime, that, my friends, is legal plunder. So then abolish this law without delay. For it is not only an evil itself, but also it is a fertile source for further evils because it invites reprisals. If such a law, which may be an isolated case, is not abolished immediately, it will spread, multiply, and develop into a system. The person who profits from this law will complain bitterly, defending his acquired rights. He will claim that the state is obligated to protect and encourage his particular industry, that this procedure enriches the state because the protected industry is thus able to spend more and to pay higher wages to the poor working men. Do not listen to this sophistry by vested interests. The acceptance of these arguments will build legal plunder into a whole system. In fact, this has already occurred. The present day delusion is an attempt to enrich everyone at the expense of everyone else, to make plunder universal under the pretense of organizing it. Now, just, take into account that this was written back in 1850. He was totally warning us about, our present current state, the welfare state, the darn near cradle to the grave welfare state that we have. I'll go ahead and just read another passage out of here to go ahead and continue this little test of my new equipment, so I can see how it sounds and looks when I am all finished. So, now legal plunder can be committed in an infinite number of ways. Thus, we have an infinite number of plans for organizing it, with tariffs, protections, benefits, subsidies, encouragements, progressive taxations, public schools, guaranteed jobs, guaranteed profits, minimum wages, a right to relief, a right to the tools of labor, free credit, and so on and so on. And we have, it just goes so on and so on and so on. All of these plans as a whole, with their common aim of legal plunder, constitute socialism. Now, since under this definition, socialism is a body of doctrine, what attack can be made against against it other than a war of doctrine? If you find this socialist doctrine to be false, absurd, and evil, then refute it. And the more false, the more absurd, and the more evil it is, the easier it will be to refute. Above all, if you wish to be strong, begin by rooting out every particle of socialism that may have crept into your legislation. This will be no light task, obviously. Mr. de Monteblé, some French guy, has accused of desiring to fight socialism by the use of brute force. He ought to be exonerated from this accusation, for he has plainly said the war that we must fight against socialism must be in harmony with law, honor, and justice. But why does not Mr. whatever this old French guy's name is see that he has placed himself in a vicious cycle? He would use the law to oppose socialism, but it is upon the law that socialism itself relies. Socialists desire to practice legal plunder, not illegal plunder. Socialists, like all other monopolists, desire to make the law their own weapon. And when once the law is on the side of socialism, how can it be used against socialism? For when plunder is abated by the law, it does not fear your courts, some French word, in your prisons. Rather, it may call upon them for help. To prevent this, you would exclude socialism from entering into the makings of laws. You would prevent socialists from entering the legislative palace. You shall not succeed. I predict so long as legal plunder continues to be the main business of the legislature, it is illogical, in fact, absurd to assume otherwise. The choice before us. This question of legal plunder must be settled once and for all. And there are only three ways to settle it. The few plunder the many. Everybody plunders everybody. Nobody plunders anybody. That's what this guy votes for. And why do I vote for that? Well, because liberty. And that's why I named this show Because Liberty. Because if you understand liberty, you can understand the reason why I do most of the things I do and I say most of the things I say. And the choices that I make, very much rely around understanding the very simple concepts of liberty. And that's why I'm going to be focusing more on education than just ranting about stuff that nobody really cares about. So this has been the conclusion of my test of my new equipment, and I am Curtis Hart. This has been Because Liberty with Curtis Hart, and I will be coming back later when I get more set up. So you have a good night, and be happy and be free.